My mother is having a great time.
Yeah.
My dad, in the last year of his life, moved them into a senior community.
Okay.
So she has tons of friends. She goes to breakfast, she goes to lunch, she goes to dinner. She's surrounded by people who know, and she's good friends with.
That's amazing.
And it's fantastic. The best part of it is for her, every day they have art classes.
Okay.
And she loves to draw and she loves to paint.
Sure.
She's having a blast.
They're amazing. I've seen some of her work.
Yeah, her painting and drawing is just getting better and better and better.
It's impressive.
She's living her best life.
Totally.
My dad was too when he lived there too. You and I, when it comes time, you need to be open to moving into a community like this.
Totally. But instead of painting, it's little electronics projects, just little home assistant projects.
Sure.
Yeah. House of
But
Nerds.
yeah, we got to think about it because that's probably a little less than 3 decades away.
Who do I place my bet for the under with? 3 decades. Look at you, Mr. Optimism. How about August?
Quiet, please.
That's the other thing is I would not wait as long as they waited to move in because it's great.
Sir, they have denied my application every year, and they say that I don't hit the minimum. So apparently I've got a ways to go.
In 4.
It is the only place I go where they tell me I'm too healthy.
3.
Could you call my doctor and tell me? They're like, no, he knows.
2.
Company presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense, Season 3, Episode 40. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Skittle.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, Musk's Robotaxi dream meets California reality. He can operate a taxi, not a Robotaxi.
Yeah, but he can still call it a Robotaxi.
Trump's chip ban is a $1 billion boon for smugglers.
Weird. Someone's making money off that?
How many ways can you spell prohibition?
Oh, yes, exactly.
Porn lawsuits exposes Facebook's shady AI data habits.
Has their data been naked this whole time? Nobody told me.
Our big story later this week, game show heists. The day Press Your Luck met its match.
What a hard word, heist. I don't even know how to make that sound, heists.
How was your week going?
Well, now that I'm just stuck on replaying heists in my head over and over. Took my little Monstritos, I like to call them.
Is that a Spanish monster? Is that what
Little
that is?
Monsters, yes. That is Spanish for little monsters, which I guess I shouldn't say I took my little Monstritos. I could just say Monstritos. We went to 9,000 feet, which was awesome. There were grazing cows, herds of elk. I love any place that I can go and at night stare up and see the Milky Way with the naked eye is just incredible. Yeah. My kids love the outdoors, which is great. Glad I've passed along that love to them. And I'm learning so much about them. We hiked across a meadow to get to a lake. Unfortunately, the lake is a couple hundred feet past a fence, which is on Native American, or as the locals call it, Indian reservation, which still makes me kind of cringe. And my oldest was just not having it. He's like, I don't want to go over there. And I was like, buddy, why not? He's like, I'm hungry. He's like, actually, I'm starving. And I was like, okay. Oh. I wasn't planning on going over there anyway, because I think it's just wrong. And on the walk back, he's like, we're not supposed to go over there. So I didn't want to go over there. And I was like, wow. That's a parenting win.
He's me. I'm a rule follower.
Yeah, he likes to make up rules too, but he also follows those very closely, which I find amusing. But then meanwhile, my little guy is just a tank. The oxygen at 9,000 feet is thin. I'm getting winded just tying my shoes, right? My chubby little fingers trying to tie my chubby little shoes.
Sure.
Meanwhile, my little guy will run, sprint a couple hundred yards up a slight hill through thick grass and just keep on trucking. And I'm like, I don't understand how you do this.
It's good to be young.
Lovely weekend. Had a great time. It was nice to be in the cool weather and see some nature.
And you're in Phoenix now.
I am currently in Phoenix, yes, where it could be hotter, but how?
You sound like you're hot.
I'm sweating just thinking about going outside. Like I literally watch the thermometer, the little weather thing on my computer screen, and the number just keeps going up. I'm like, is there an upper bound? Like, is there a limit? Like, it just keeps going. And yet people make a conscious decision to live here, which I don't understand. How about you? How's your weekend?
Less interesting than yours. My left ear is deaf and ringing.
Oh, no.
For some reason, and nothing happened. There was no incident. There was no event. My balance seems mostly to be back, but for some reason, last night, all of a sudden, I'm confused and like, what is going on here? I've got this loud ringing in my ear. I can't hear and I can barely stand up. Yeah, no, I'm kind of amazed that any of it works at all. So this is just sort of like mostly amusing. This is kind of peculiar. And when the balance is back, then it's okay. Yeah. When the balance is gone, it's like, this is really awful. Is this just the wiring falling apart? Is this just like you just call someone? I think so. Like, yeah, I think it happens over time.
Are you really going to use that copper phone system in your house anymore? Probably not. Just let it go.
When you build your human-shaped robot, put a lot of redundancy in for balance.
Oh, it doesn't need balance. Of all the parts on the list that it needs, balance is way down the list. I've seen Weird Science. I know how this works. Sure. How was that movie ever made, by the way? Like one of the creepiest things to make and then show children in the 80s.
Different time.
100%.
Should we get to our headlines?
We should, otherwise I'm going to riff on more Weird Science and it's going to get even darker.
California's Robotaxi rules force Tesla to pump the brakes on autonomy. Tesla is launching a Robotaxi service in San Francisco, but will initially use human-driven cars due to California's strict autonomous vehicle regulations. The company faces legal challenges for potentially misleading claims about its self-driving technology while simultaneously promoting its Robotaxi vision to investors.
Yeah, it's awesome doublespeak that I've just come to expect, right? They've got terrible earnings report. They're like, yeah, but we're launching in all Robotaxi in all these states. And then meanwhile, California's like, did you say Robotaxi? Like, no.
Not here.
That's just what we call it. It's got a driver. It's just a regular car. It's actually a Chevy, and we're fine. Like, how do you...
California's particularly tough because we've had robo-taxis come in when there was few regulations.
Autonomous cars,
and we've had it. We're done with it. Now you need to make sure your car can actually pass a driving test.
I wouldn't say we had it. I would say we are just, as California has a tendency to be, farther along because we had companies working on this here much earlier, right?
Yeah.
Google obviously started a decade plus ago, 12 years ago. When did they start?
More than that, yeah. It was a project at Stanford.
And then you had even Apple was working on it. So we've had more time to sort of develop some mature regulation around this, which is great.
Basically, Cruise was driving and they were following very few of the regulations. And eventually we said enough with this.
Well, yeah. I mean, were they not following? I thought they just went to follow, like they had some accidents and they said, oh, no more. We're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, they had some very serious accidents. By the way, some of those accidents were actually against the regulations.
Most of them I find are against the regulations.
Sure.
There's a list. There's a very short list of the accidents you're allowed to have.
Yeah.
They're called purposes. Yeah, this is interesting to me. So I think I don't understand all of this. There's some nuance to they want it to be just for like Tesla or SpaceX employees or something like that. And they say that it's all going to have a driver to start. And as soon as the autonomous vehicle regulation paperwork gets done, they're going to make it autonomous. Meanwhile, the DMV is like, yeah, but nobody's filed any of that paperwork. Like, what are you talking about? But then I think what really gives it all away is you hear Musk talk about, and he said this quote again, the exact quote was, I think we'll probably have autonomous ride hailing in probably half the population of the US by the end of the year. And I'm like, how do I take the over on that?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's literally no chance that's going to happen.
No way.
No way you're going to get to 175 million people by the end of the year.
This is a massively complex problem.
Exactly. Like, I'm not even sure you're going to get to a tenth of that, but it sounds really good. And it's really nice to hear that when the thing you have to say in a couple days later is, oh, by the way, our earnings are down double-digit percentage points.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, by the way, I opened up a new diner in Hollywood.
Yeah,
check that out.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Have you been to the new diner?
You're at Denny's? No, I'm not going to. What, do I bring my excursion and plug that in? What am I going to do? I got a cable out the side? There is a guy, I'll put the link in the show notes. There is a guy who 3D printed, it's a charging plug.
Yeah.
And he puts it in the side of his EV and then he just has a bunch of wires coming out of the back of it and they spark. Oh my, it's the best thing ever.
Very clever. Very clever.
I should put that on the side of my truck and drive up. It's just art. Anyway, I think that's ridiculous. My other favorite quote from him is he said, this is Musk, said, we are being super paranoid about safety. And I'm like, I like when you put those two words together, paranoid and safety. That's totally what it looks like.
Sure.
I mean, not to the people in Austin, they're pawns, but everybody else, we're being super paranoid about safety.
You have to put in the show notes. Listeners, you have to watch this video of this Tesla Robotaxi in Austin as it just drives like in the middle of the oncoming traffic and stops.
Okay, to be fair, it is an intersection that is a little non-standard, so it has like a left turn on the left side.
This is the trick of autonomous driving. You have to handle all the special cases.
But I think that's the difference here is we're saying, well, it gets it right 90% of the time, and that's pretty good.
No.
You're like, well, tell that to the other 10% of the people to get run over. They're not going to appreciate that. But it was actually, it's very amusing to me to watch when these things get stuck, to watch the override procedure. And from what I can tell, the safety operator in the car basically mashes a button on the console.
And a human
that they then get in a queue and somebody remote comes in and goes, oh, you should have to make a left turn here. Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else you need? It's like, if I was in the back, I'd be like, yes, please pull over and stop. That would be the next thing that I need.
Can I get out now?
I would like to exit.
I'm not of the opinion that every car forevermore is going to need LiDAR, but I am of the opinion that currently I wouldn't get into a robotaxi of any sort that doesn't have LiDAR.
Yeah.
Because pure optical sensing just isn't ready.
Well, it's the old adage we've been saying for years, if you're in the software development community. If you don't know what the beta test is, you are it.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's the problem here, is that there has been no beta test, so now you are it. I expected maybe a giggle or a smirk. Maybe even a laugh.
But instead I just went, oh yeah, that's actually true. That's very true.
Instead, you just sighed and opened a pull request. That's what you did.
Speaking of pull requests, have you heard of OpenPilot?
Yeah, this is really cool.
This is a open source project.
Collaborative project,
for self-driving for all sorts of cars. There's like 300 cars that this works with.
Interfaces with a CAN bus on your car.
Yeah.
There's a kit you can download. I haven't looked deeply at it, but I'm really
for like
intrigued.
$1,000, you're getting the same technology as full self-driving. And by the way, all the same problems. It'll drive too fast when it makes turns and all those things.
Sure.
But they'll improve that. They'll improve that quickly.
It's really interesting to me. I mean, I think it's still a little less kit than you're seeing on any of the Tesla Teslas because it's just a 3 cameras, 2 external cameras, 1 internal. But the point is, it's making progress, and that is super interesting to me.
It drives just exactly like the full self-driving system in Tesla.
I don't really see a world in the short term where this merges with the commercial applications of vehicles.
No.
It certainly could be. Well, but wait, hold on now. It could be doable. Like you think about, there was this beautiful era where we got rid of in-car navigation, right? That used to be a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 upsell on your vehicle. And then they're like, oh, you have CarPlay. You already have this in your phone or
Android Auto.
Android Auto. There's some alliteration in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So then you didn't need this navigation system. Obviously, the tide has shifted on that. But I could see a world where the manufacturers offer you a package of cameras or sensors that are integrated, some upsell that you've got to pay for because it's way easier to do at time of manufacture. But then there's no, sort of brain unit because that's going to continue to get cheaper. And I could see somebody like Slate comes to mind. Slate are the guys making this. They were just targeting a sub $20,000 truck. Yeah. And they've done some really interesting stuff. Like there's pretty much no interior to this thing. And they leaked quote unquote, some like 3D printable like inserts that you could print and put in the car that mount to the car's dashboard, which is super neat.
Sure.
I could see somebody like them doing it where for $500 they'll add $300 worth of cameras to it, and that's it. That's all you get. And then you go out to a project like OpenPilot, buy the parts, plug it in, some little PC that's only going to get faster and better, and some software package, and then have, even if it's the most basic autonomous driving stuff like adaptive, lane switching and cruise control, things like that. That could be super interesting. So I think you could see a world for that.
By the way, that's what it's good for. You don't pretend this is full self-driving. It is not. It is really good at driver assist.
Well, hold on. Full self-driving is basically driver assist.
I know, but ignore it. Use what the words actually mean.
Oh, you want real English?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It is not full self-driving. It is not
Mm-hmm.
a Waymo. It's not going to be a Waymo anytime soon. But as for driver assist, it's pretty terrific.
It's pretty neat. I could see a world too where all of your car autonomy is actually being done on your phone. Man, talk about how nuts that would be. You get in and like all of a sudden like the Bluetooth pairing stops working and your car just crashes into a tree.
Well, the little computer this is running on is basically an old phone. I mean,
it's an old phone. No, by no stretch of the imagination, it's like a 5-year-old phone.
Right.
Like the hardware, and it's kind of sad when you think about what it could be.
But that's all they needed to be.
But that's what's so awesome about it is you could just continue to upgrade that thing. But I do think about real-time systems being a little over-engineered compared to your
over-engineering.
Yeah, exactly. You really like that. Like I've 0 times in my life if I had to reboot the ECU on any of my BMWs, and that's a good thing. That is a very good thing.
I'm ready for when they come up with OpenPilot that runs on an ESP32.
I love it. Except for when you get onto a freeway with more than 3 lanes, it's seg faults. Do you see that sign you go on the freeways in California and it says there's like the vehicle restrictions and it's like it must be over 125 cc's, like all that. They're going to amend that to the bottom where it says must be ESP32 S3 or better, just for you.
Silk Road for Silicon banned Nvidia chips flood China. Despite U.S. export controls, over $1 billion in Nvidia AI chips like the B200 were smuggled into China within 3 months. A black market thrives with distributors openly selling restricted chips. While the recent lifting of H20 chip bans may curb some black market activity, demand for cutting-edge technology and resourceful middlemen ensure continued illicit trade, often via Southeast Asia.
This is one of the things they're really good at, right? Which is just figuring it out with whatever they've got access to.
Sure.
Generally speaking, which is super interesting to me. I think the Financial Times are the ones who broke this story, and they reviewed a bunch of pictures, and they just saw like all the brands. Like they saw Supermicro, and they saw Dell, and all these guys over there. I don't believe Dell or Supermicro are selling directly to these Chinese
They had
firms.
no idea their stuff was being resold in China.
They just have somebody that's fronting the cash and buying a product and then shipping it over there. And at the end of the day, who are you going to hold liable for this, right? It's the middleman that's taking the risk. And how are we going to go interfere with middlemen that are in, Thailand?
Sure.
Like we're not. And that's a challenge.
It's not illegal in China to buy or sell these things.
As long as you pay the tariffs.
As long as you pay the tariffs, they're great with it.
Of course. So this does beg a very interesting question that I think is worth exploring beyond this, which is our intent was to slow down their development of software built on top of these chips. At some point, they're going to catch up. And I think based on what we've seen with chip development, that's going to take a long time. I do wonder, what does the split timeline look like where you didn't do this? Instead, you sold them chips and let them get very happy to be hooked on our chips, and then you ultimately have control. Sort of the same thing we see with rare minerals or cheap production, something like that. I don't think that would have been a better answer, but it is interesting to think about.
I think all things considered, they're making speedy progress on their chips.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know more about that. The little bits we've seen have been they're throwing more hardware at it. Like they're getting close in total performance, but I don't know that they actually are exceeding this on chips. Because if they were, we'd be seeing them. Like if you made a chip that was better, faster, cheaper.
Oh, they're not exceeding exceeding us. They're not exceeding us yet. But they're starting from a standing start.
Well, yeah.
It's remarkable how far they've gotten as fast as they've gotten.
Yeah, I'm still mildly suspect of what they have and what they don't because it's so not open and transparent. But it does seem to be faster than any of us expected.
Firms like Gate of the Era, founded shortly after export controls tightened, emerged as major players in the black market, selling chips in ready-built racks at significant premiums.
And I love when like FT and some of the reporters went looking for this. Their current address was empty. Their previous address was a real estate company that had been there for like 3 years.
Sure.
And like, we don't know what you're talking about. They had some logos on there of like an integration company. They called the integration company. They're like, people use our logo. We don't know who they are. And it's like, oh boy, good job.
Okay, sure, great.
Sure. There was one like a Chinese data center operator that they got a quote from that said, export control will not prevent the most advanced NVIDIA products from entering China.
Of course not.
What it creates is just inefficiency and huge profits.
Yes.
For the middleman. That's all it's doing.
Yes.
Like you just added a layer in the middle.
Booze got really expensive during Prohibition. There's some people who made a fortune off of booze during Prohibition. The booze still came.
Yeah.
The booze still found its way into the U.S.
It's interesting. I mean, so I think the Department of Commerce is talking about adding more export controls and specifically looking at other countries, which I'm assuming it's where we don't have like an IP arm that we can reach into. Like, I don't think Singapore is going to be problematic because we have a tight relationship with Singapore, but a place like Thailand might be problematic, or the Philippines, somewhere where we don't have as good of a relation, as much trade that we can lever against them. So this is going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. But I suspect also, it's worth noting that you're going to see the black market pressure reduced because now we're easing restrictions on the H20.
Yeah, sure.
Which is the sort of Chinese specific, like we're going to give you the third best chip and just keep the best two for ourselves sort of thing.
What it will make them do is be more efficient with their software.
Yeah, which is arguably a good thing, especially the open source.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Then we can maybe go and learn something from them.
I think we already have. I think even like the early DeepMind models.
DeepSeek.
DeepMind?
Was that what it's called?
DeepSeek. Yeah, the early DeepSeek models, you were able to look at and go, oh, that's novel. That's interesting. And then roll that back into our existing models here. You're all still standing on the shoulders of giants, right? They used a pre-built model
of course.
on that to extract sort of the next step.
But they still did it and we hadn't done it yet.
Of course. Not everybody has to build the first C compiler. You can start with one that's already out there and build something better.
X-rated AI lawsuit alleges Facebook pirated porn for training. A new lawsuit claims Meta pirated and seeded nearly 2,400 adult films since 2018 to train its AI models, potentially exposing minors to the content. This evidence could support authors' earlier copyright infringement claims against Meta, alleging the tech giant used pirated data to train its AI.
Porn for training? I thought it said porn for trading. I went ahead and got my Facebook account spun back up. I never should have done that.
They were seeding. They had some collection of porn that they were illegally seeding, because if you seed the porn into the...
If you seed the anything,
whatever that thing is, you get more access to more stuff so you can train your...
You get higher credit, Sure. So Strike 3 Holdings, the guys who filed this suit against Meta, what they're claiming is that their highest rated, most recent videos would get picked up and then seeded, so shared. Seeded is basically means shared by IPs that are held by Meta.
Right.
Meta IPs. That's pretty clear and easy to see. And the simple inference to make is, well, okay, they're using that porn to train their AI. I don't think that's the case. And even if you read through the article on ours, they say, well, no, it's really more to just get credit within the ecosystem.
Right. So you get access to more stuff.
You can access to more stuff. And that actually makes more sense. The problem I have with
But you're trading something you don't own.
Oh, yeah.
You're trading porn you are not the copyright holder.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just trying to explain the situation, not even express whether or not it's right or wrong, legal or not legal. I think the simpler explanation, and the one that really might be the answer here, is when you have access to an extremely high speed connectivity, right? And currently, if you imagine a place like Meta, like you are sitting at the crux of connectivity in the world.
Yeah.
This could just be a couple rogue employees that just have porn fetishes. Like that is not an impossible outcome. Like, to me, it's actually Occam's razor. It's the more likely outcome. The question is, what else are they pulling down? And that's hard to see from
But you are responsible for what your employees do on your pipe.
Of course you are. 100%. I'm not saying that you're not. But my point is to jump from that to, oh, you're using this to build some giant AI model and pull everything down is a bit of a stretch. Now, you could get through discovery. You could see that that's not the case. But they even in their lawsuit, they even highlight some like Meta employee. They're like, oh, you downloaded your porn from your house. And I'm like, yeah, it could just be a Meta employee that's downloading porn illegally at his house. How do you draw a line between those two that's nothing but dotted?
You go play with the AI and you see if you can get back something very similar to what they would have pulled.
I think that's ultimately the thing you need to look at and find out. So I take a bunch of this with a grain of salt. There is some reference in this, at least this article on ours, where they talk about how like, oh yeah, but that'd be really expensive. And I'm like, I don't think you know how connectivity works when you're the size of Meta.
Sure.
Like You're not paying an extra penny for any of this, right? You have literally just bought a pipe. There's nothing that's metered. It's all peering.
You completely own the cable. There are other people you are letting sublet parts of the cable, but the cable belongs to you.
And I had this experience, this exact same sort of scenario 20 plus years ago when we had pulled what was at the time one of the largest connections you could get from our office to our data center cage. It was a whopping, are you ready? 45 megabit pipe.
No.
And we had that out on tier 1 production bandwidth behind it. So of course we'd do all our internet browsing and stuff from that.
Sure.
But what was really fun, at the time you could get a pre-Xbox Live. You could get a little application running on your PC that would act like a tunnel, and it would allow you, it was GameSpy. It would allow you to connect to other people running that application, and you'd find the ones with the lowest ping time, and you could connect your Xboxes together and play games.
Sure.
And this is before Xbox Live. So one day I was like, oh, I should fire this up over the tier 1 production bandwidth and let's see what happens. And we would have like the lowest ping time of anybody there, which means everybody always wanted to play with us.
Of course.
I'm like, this is the same thing. This is just getting your porn super fast and not at home on your crappy Spectrum cable.
Although, why would they be? They're not just downloading porn. They're seeding porn. They're actually putting porn up for others to be able to download.
Yeah.
The reason you do that is so that you can pull down more stuff.
Yeah, more porn.
Not even necessarily porn. Could be another way of getting books. Could be another way of getting movies. Could be all kinds of stuff up on BitTorrents.
Yeah, or Occam's razor could just be more porn.
I don't think that's necessarily Occam's razor. I think you have to be, it's harder to say that they're going to limit their downloading to porn.
We can be subjective and go back and forth about what they are or aren't doing, but Occam's razor definitely tells me that just downloading more porn is the easiest, simplest explanation.
Not in this volume. You'd have to be Superman.
I understand. I'm just saying it's the simplest explanation.
Okay, enough with the headlines. In fact, enough with the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Ryan King.
Oh, thanks to the king.
We'll be back later this week with our big story, Game Show Hackers, the Press Your Luck Code Breaker. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Stu Little.
Smell you later.
Wait, I thought I was the middle schooler in this relationship.
I do a different language every single week, and this particular one is the language of middle schoolers.
The Simpsons? You're doing Nelson now?
Smell you later.
Introducing ZiffNet for Prodigy, software and advice to help you get the most out of your PC. Are you excited, Jeff?
Sure, why not?
ZiffNet for Prodigy is a new service that gives you the productivity boosting software, news, and advice you need to get more out of your personal computer. All from the leading publisher of magazines about computing, including PC Magazine, PC Computing, PC Week, and Computer Shopper. Now, for the first time on the Prodigy service, you can choose from thousands of free or inexpensive software programs, including games, utilities, spreadsheets, education, and more. There's tech support too, so you can learn from the pros how to get the most out of the hardware and software you already own.
ZiffNet was great.
I know. That's kind of why I picked it. ZiffNet for Prodigy is also a great way to stay on top of computing news to discover what's hot and what's not. In short, with ZiffNet for Prodigy, you'll get the most out of your computer.
For sure.
Prodigy members, simply type jump ZiffNet to join. For more information on joining the Prodigy service, call the 800 number in the show notes.
Fantastic.
This is kind of nuts to me because this was how you got information before we had the W's.
The World Wide Web?
The three of them in the order.
Sure.
And I remember this distinctly. Were you a Prodigy user?
I was not a Prodigy user. I was an AOL user.
Oh, that's right. You were AOL.
Yeah.
You were one of those people.
Prodigy came later. I signed up for American Online and had to be in 1989.
Wow.
And I don't think Prodigy was around till 90.
That sounds about right.
That was the jump, that literally that 1 year jump that made the difference. Now, there were things before. I remember CompuServe.
Yep, of course.
That had to be around in the...
A little earlier.
Yeah, like in the 80s.
Yep.
But it was less graphical. Delphi and probably a few years later after that, 83, I'm guessing. I don't know. And Genie, GE had a service.
Of course.
Did you ever use Genie?
No, I mean, I saw the name, but I never used it.
I would guess Prodigy...
It's kind of a wide swath, but this is specifically when ZiffNet came to Prodigy, which I think gives you a little bit of a hint.
Prodigy after American Online. American Online in 1989, Prodigy in 90. Give them a couple of years probably before ZiffNet figured out this was how they needed to distribute their data. I'm going to guess 92, but I have no idea.
August of 92 is when this ad ran. So 92, you are correct.
Wow.
You are spot on. That's pretty good piecing it together.
I was literally like part of one of the forums, one of the admins of a forum on AOL. I was super into it.
I feel like now's a good time to plug your old email address. Long since gone.
I have friends who are still on AOL, who still use AOL Mail. It still exists.
Hey, wait, hold on.
You can't get them off because they don't want to live through change. They don't want to go have any change.
AOL Mail still exists?
It still exists.
What is it? Is it like
It's a mail service. I don't know. It's like, a terrible mail service.
God, that broke my brain. ZiffNet for Prodigy, I think, it's just, I remember when like there was no way these guys could lose. ZiffNet owned the entire computer reporting technology purchasing segment. Somehow they lost.
Sure. It's sad now. ZDNet still exists. If you go to ZDNet, because we look at news sources all the time for this podcast. And if you go to ZDNet now, what you'll see is it's kind of like mostly doing press releases. It's mostly promoting little things. There's some interesting articles of we tested this and we found out this, but it's not a lot of news.
No, sad. August of 92 is correct. You have nailed it.